So it seems that everyone and their dog are talking about the Relab 176 compressor right now. It's pretty hyped up, and I downloaded it, the free trial, to see what all of the fuss was about. And I found out some interesting things which I wanted to share in this video. Now, because I do also sell a compressor plugin, I don't want to make it look like I'm just biased or anything like that. And so I'm just going to stick to objective facts, and I'm not going to give any of my personal opinions in this video. So it costs $200. Whether that's a good price is up to you, but there is a free trial, so you can test it out if you are considering buying it. But because they do use iLok, if we scroll down to their hardware requirements, you see here that they have Mac and they have Windows. There is no Linux. Wire or Pace, anti-piracy, iLok, that doesn't run on Linux. It only runs on Mac and Windows. So even if they wanted to release this for Linux, they can't, because they are locked in with Pace, anti-piracy, iLok. So if you're on Linux, tough luck, you can't get this. So I've installed the plugin. Let's open it up now, see what happens. Now, the first thing that you might notice when I start playing with this plugin is that it starts randomly sending out information, and it's sending it to some random Amazon AWS server. And as I'm playing with it, you'll see that the network traffic keeps increasing. It's a third of a megabyte right now, and it carries on increasing. And just play with all of these things and use the plugin, and all of the time that network data is going up and up and up. And before you know it, now we're over half a megabyte. What is it doing? What is it sending? And I've been inspecting this with Wireshark, and it's vomiting out huge amounts of data, sending it out to an AWS server. And I don't know what it's sending. It's taking some kind of data, encrypting it, and sending it out to some server. And now we've already got a megabyte of data whilst we've just been playing with this plugin. Now, if you go here and say somewhere here, where is it? Not check for updates, about. Is it about this one? Yeah, there we go. If we go here to about and we zoom in, because it's so small that you can't even read it. Look at that. I think it says Relab development collects anonymous user data, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is their license agreement here. We can make it a bit bigger. If you look through this end user license agreement, you will not see it saying that they're sending out megabytes of data secretly to some random Amazon server without telling you. It doesn't mention that at all. And the only way that you find out about that is here. You can click on this. I don't know, you can't even read it. Let's see if we can make the interface bigger. Resize window. Let's make it 200. Okay, that's massive. It's just completely filling my screen. Let's now see if we can oh, I can read that way better now. Let's now see if we can read this. Important notice: please read carefully before downloading, installing, or using the Relab software. Okay, so it's got a section on data collection in this end user license agreement, but this is not the end user license agreement you get when you run the installer. So when you install this, you don't know that it's collecting data. You weren't informed that it's collecting data until after you start using it, and then you can go into the about page, and then you can click on this, and then you can scroll down all the way down to section 8, where it says that you acknowledge that when you download, install, or use this software, Relab may track and collect information from your use of the software and aggregate such as usage data in a usage report. Usage data is anonymous, and users may decide whether usage reports are made by selecting or deselecting the appropriate box in the software preferences. But there is no way to turn it off. I can't find any way to turn it off. Information connected throughout or connection with the software is subject to the Relab privacy policy. Further information can be seen there. But it says I can turn it off by selecting the appropriate box. Where is the box? I don't see the box. That is just oversampling and the dark or light. This is tooltips, check for updates. On the about page is where it says about the data analytics, but I can't see. You can't turn it off. Am I missing something? How do you turn that off? How do you turn off sending megabytes of random data that I didn't authorize to some server? Okay, so I went back and I did figure out how to turn that weird data stuff off. You go to about, you click on the end user license agreement, and then you have to scroll down, scroll, 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 and now you can click opt out of analytics data collection. Okay, you have opted out of sending megabytes of data to a random Amazon server. Okay, thank you. So that's how you do it. But that is not clear at all, and I don't think that's in accordance with EU data privacy laws, because there's no informed consent there, that they've just sent a whole bunch of data without my permission. So that was the first thing anyway that I was a bit surprised by, and I'm not really sure about that. Maybe they can make a public statement on what they're actually sending, what is happening there, why they need megabytes of data from my computer without telling me and hiding it. That sounds weird. Why? Why are they doing that? Next up, let's look at what it's doing to the sound. I don't like to just make a demo where I'm playing music through it and stuff, because I'd rather just analyze it with tools. Other people are playing music through it. So let's grab Bursum EQ. Bursum EQ Analyzer. So I've got Bursum EQ Analyzer happening. I'm just tickling the meters. It's not doing a lot in the compressor at all. And we can have a look at the EQ. And as we can see, it's doing a massive smiley face. So at around 40 hertz, it's boosting in the bass by almost 10 dB. And in the high frequencies, it's boosting also around 17K or something like that, around 10 dB, which is a humongous smiley face. When you have less signal going through, its smiley face is less. So it seems like the louder it is, the more smiley faced it gets. Which is, I don't know, you could say that it's interesting dynamic behavior. I don't know whether you want that or whether you don't want that, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, but it's applying some kind of very extreme smiley face EQ. Let's grab Delta Expose and see what's happening in terms of the compression curves. Now you see there's a lot of fuzziness here and weird glitches. That's because it's got oversampling and that EQ we've already seen. So it's not actually just doing gain reduction. It's doing a whole bunch of other stuff, which is making Delta Expose freak out. We can still see some kind of curves what it's doing, but you can't turn the oversampling off. You're forced to have oversampling on. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It just makes it more difficult to analyze with a plugin like Delta Expose, because it kind of hides what it's actually doing in terms of the gain reduction. So as we can see, there is some latency introduced by the oversampling, which you can't turn off. And that is one of the things making Delta Expose freak out. The main thing is going to be the EQ, but one of the things, especially these weird glitches here, that is because there's oversampling introducing latency, and the test signal isn't matching up with the process signal. So I just added a new feature to Delta Expose because this is something I wanted to add anyway, and I've finally got motivated to add it so I could make this video. So I just coded that new feature, and this is a latency compensation tool, so we can compensate for that latency to a certain degree. It's still doing weird stuff, but it's looking a bit less weird than it was before. There we go. That glitch has gone away anyway. And now we can maybe examine. So I've just dialed in a specific setting here because I watched a YouTube video in which the developer of this plugin said that they found some kind of very mu thump in the way that the compression reacted on the 2:1 setting. So I've used 2:1 and the slowest possible attack and dialed in this setting here, and we can actually see that that is indeed the case. You can see that the compression kicks in and then it comes back up, kind of overshoots, and then goes back down. So you've got this kind of like weird hump in the curve, and that's something really interesting. I like the look of that. It's more or less the same thing as the inertia knob in Versatile Compressor, which is my free compressor plugin. So if you want a similar kind of thing for free, just download my Versatile Compressor plugin, and it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty similar. When we're changing the release gets longer or shorter. I do see that the curvature of the release does change slightly as well, so it isn't just your ultra bog standard stuff. There is some interesting kind of curvature going on here. I haven't really examined all of the settings that much. I can't even read what that is. It's so small, the text. I can't even be bothered to okay, even when I zoom in, it's like, what does that I can't see what that says. Like, what does that even say? I have no idea. Let's try and put it on the bigger setting again. I think you can just actually resize the window. There we go. Bias, anode. Yeah, it's like the valve bias reference level. Now, one thing I have noticed is that if you bypass it here in Reaper, you can see that it's a flat line on Delta Expose. That means the delta is 0. There is nothing happening because it's completely bypassed. However, if I put it back on and then do the inbuilt bypass from the plugin itself, let's hit that, you can see that there's no gain reduction happening, but it's definitely not bypassed. There's definitely still stuff happening here. I don't know what stuff. Maybe they're still oversampling, or they're just oversampling but not doing anything with that. I don't know what they're doing, but it's not 100% bypassed if you hit the bypass in the plugin itself. So there you go. That's what it is. It's a compressor. It seems to just do this one kind of sound. It does this very mu kind of thing. Probably does it quite well. If you like the sound of that, cool. If that's worth 200 quid, cool. But yeah, that's about it. So there's my review. It might be a slightly different kind of video to other reviews you've seen on it. Do I think it's a bad plugin? I don't necessarily think it's a bad plugin. I'm not happy with the data privacy stuff. That seems very, very odd. I don't know why it needs to send megabytes of data. That's very strange indeed. I'm not happy with how it doesn't inform me of that. I don't know. I think this is probably going to be a slightly different review than you're going to get on some other channels. So this is my style of review. Let me know what you think of it down below. Whether you want to see more of these kinds of videos.